as we head back into our first featured match. Obviously, we are getting back on board with Rise Nation versus Reciprocity. It looks like early on map number 2, Rise Nation have struck first yet again, coming out to an early lead on Bunker. This team, like I said, Jordan texted me last night, Jordan being Ribs, saying that they're looking good, they're feeling good. I said, show me in the tournament. So far, they're doing just that.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I got to say, it's kind of scary territory. If you are Reciprocity or maybe even a team in the future that's going to be facing off against this Rise team, maybe you kind of look at them as weaker previously, saying, hey, you know, it was a top 16 finish at San Diego. Not anymore. At least so far, they have proven to be a team that you cannot count out. And like I said, they can get off to a hot start when it comes down to Bunker. You really like their chances overall in this series. As looks as if already off the break, like we said, Rise up 1-0. And Enzem, we'll see what he can do in these initial phases. We talked about Rise kind of toward the end of Years 4. So good in their initial phases with that dynamic duo. Obviously, Power's now on the other side of things, but even still yet, we'll see what he can be up to. Is already near. Domination's coming through, and yes, it's going to be exactly that. A great answer coming through from Rec, and on Bunker as well.
Yeah, so to start that round up, you saw Powers. Powers is so good at that spot in particular on Bunker. It just seems like so many times he is the player who comes out on top on that initial, in that little kind of close quarters area on Bunker. So to me, Rise Nation definitely has to make sure that they can kind of slow him down. But man, you saw how quick of a wipe that was. That was a 29-second round. That might be one of the quickest rounds we've ever seen here in Emergence days. So as a second we hop back on, maybe they see the camera on him because Reciprocity, they struck back very quickly.
They did indeed. Keeping in mind, this is also their map pick as well, so maybe this could be their kind of territory to want to change things up. And maybe kind of from an outside perspective, I feel like this would be a map in which Reciprocity would be good on, just because we talk about their ability to be a methodical team, the rotations, the communication. Obviously, when you have a kind of the in-game leadership coming in from a guy like Franchise, I mean, this is a very tactical team, at least kind of in their history, have existed upon that exact ability. When you play on bigger maps, it really relies more on rotations. Kills aren't as prominent. And we'll see if that can continue to be the case as Avexi's and Enzem doing some work off the start. They do solidify a kill onto Rushies, which is going to make Reciprocity have to pretty much back up for the moment. And like we said, kind of back and forth initials. It will be Reciprocity who does take control on the other side of the map as they claim over at B.
You're going to see them quickly getting on that decap. Drix, a couple members of Reciprocity in front of him, has some reinforcements. Being shocked, but as you see, it's kind of that push and pull still over for the B hill. You see Detox in your kill feed, taking out Franchise. It's going to give Rise Nation an early advantage. Looks like they're beginning to capitalize on it. They're trying to get that full cap onto B. Reciprocity doing everything they can to try to keep them off that hill. But there is the cap. The flash is going to come in. Here comes the counter push. Rise doing a good job so far of holding them off. A little bit aggressive. There's a Vexies. Look at the kill feed, though. It is all Powers and it is all Reciprocity. Trying to push this even further. There's a flank coming in, though. It's Detox. He gets one. Can he make it a second? Using that Nutcracker skin on that DB. And Icy now finds himself surrounded by members of Rise Nation. So it looked like a Reciprocity win, right? It looked like they had the kill feed all in their favor. Quickly turns on its side with Reciprocity. They do still have the home hills, but for how long?
Detox, not so fast, as he'll go and take down Powers. In the meantime, like we said, another opportunity to maybe go for the pinch. Enzem falls, but at the same time, Avexi's will be there to pick him up, and maybe a few kind words coming through from Enzem, not being quiet in his debut with the boys on Rise as things start to slow down a little bit. Obviously, if you're Rise, that's totally fine. Franchise, however, starting to get weeded out from the depths of middle. Has to run on through. Thankfully dodges the knife, but not much after that, as there are just so many shots coming in from so many different directions. As if you're Rec right now, like we said, lead not too prominent for Rise, but you're thinking you got to be making a move here soon. As this is kind of guerrilla-style warfare, I guess you could say, from Rise Nation. They're just trying to build up layers and make Reciprocity have to force the issue, which seems to be the case here now.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to see the push coming in as Rise Nation currently building a lead towards the last stage of this round. It's no matter how long we play Gears 5, it's crazy to me just how fast that timer moves when you have those two hills. And you can see how quickly they were able to build this lead back. Rec is going to hop on B and get that 2-cap, but you can see the COG team will still win in 20 seconds if they maintain this C hill. So Rec is going to have to make a big push forward on to the last remaining hill for Rise Nation. If they can't, Rise Nation will once again take the lead. The pushes in, but look at someone has snuck over to B. It is Inzem, the new player, making the big 3,000 IQ play. Can anyone on Rec hop on that hill in time? The answer is going to be no. Huge plays by the new member of Rise Nation as they take yet again a lead in this map.
And that's a great call, kind of in the midst of battle when so many different things are going on. I think it's easy to get tunnel vision when you see pretty much everybody from Reciprocity outside of Kenny pretty much hightail their way to the one hill that they have to take. Great call coming in from Rise, and like we said, from the young gun in Inzem, definitely having his mark so far throughout this series in a multitude of ways, not even just slang, but also the methodical parts about the game as well.
Absolutely. We look at kind of the weapon placements right now. You're going to see that mirrored Incense grenade, but looks like we're seeing one piece of utility placed in the back end and now one placed on the home hill. So a little bit of a difference there. As you know, I'm a big fan of placing on the back end. I'm a big fan of that extra utility. Once in a while, that bull talk. Looks like Rise Nation has chosen to put the utility on the back end.
Really flashes in play. As Detox getting a nice, I wouldn't say bird's eye point of view, but a nice kind of ground cover, if you will, as looks as if fire is out. Incense, as it looks as if Evexies is going to be forcing the issue 2 versus 1 and somehow making the best out of a bad situation. However, keep in mind, he had some assistance as it was Rushies who actually did take out his own teammate. Rather unfortunate for the Reciprocity boys as they just cannot catch a break so far throughout this series. And when you give Rise Nation any inch, they'll take a mile. As that's now going to be back to the respawn screen for Powers. They'll have to run a mile back to the middle of this map as Rise Nation continue to dominate. As that's going to be A and B back in their favor. And like we said, from the chaos now to the slow, methodical play, Rise Nation's happy to sit here for a moment and begin to strategize yet again.
Yeah, I mean, look at the respawns once again. I'll continue to kind of harp on it. Fran's down to 1 and Rush is down to 1. Of course, we are in the last round of the half, so you got to obviously throw everything you can when it comes to respawns, but just you look at the left side of your screen and the right side of your screen. Inzem 3, Detox 4, Drix 4, Shock 4, Vexies 3, right? They just have all the respawns in the world because they've been controlling this map. You know, obviously it's 2-1, but they've had pretty much control all the way through, and they obviously had control all of map 1, so I'm loving what I'm seeing out of this Rise Nation team thus far. It's up to them to just make sure they close it out.
Detox just waiting for the moment. Here comes the flash. Not going to bother him all that much. However, the counter flash comes through, and Reciprocity is in the midst of a few issues. However, Detox gets taken out from the backside. That is going to be Powers. Like I said, on his prior team, the revenge tour so far for Rise. Can they keep it up? It looks as if they will. Shock taking down another. And like we said, we're getting to the moment for Reciprocity where things are starting to get scary. Franchise on his last life rush. He's not too far away from that either. Rise Nation already built up with a solid advantage. A, however, is in limbo, and you love this moment from Shock. Drix as well coming in for the pinch. Rushies is going to pull off something special if he wants this one over at A.
And he's trying to force him to kind of pop his head out right now. You're going to see him just dance around, getting that hill a little bit. That Incense going to force him to move. Now he can't run through that ball of fire or else that's going to happen. Beautifully placed Incense coming in from Shock and Rise Nation, and they continue to just move forward, build these numbers. Icy's going to be dropped on plat as well. You see COG team will win in 30 seconds at this rate. Powers has answered back with an Incense of his own, but it's going to take a lot more than that as obviously Franchise is off the map. Rush on his way to being off the map as well, and in about 17 more seconds it will be an unwinnable round for the boys on Reciprocity. Rise Nation continue to cruise through this match.
Oh yeah, they're coasting. They're having a great time as well as Kenny will get silenced as the bells begin to ring, and that is a positive for Rise Nation as they are up 3-1 at the half. Man, I got to tell you what, I'm still somewhat surprised by this result, right? This is Reciprocity's pick. They looked very slow when it came down to District. We kind of talked about, hey, it could just be a slow start. Rise Nation, obviously the rumor coming into this was, hey, they were trading maps with NRG last night. Is the hype real? Clearly it is. But can Reciprocity start to fire back? I mean, I will say, in terms of the way that the current landscape is, right? Obviously, off of San Diego, there's a little bit of a break because of the holidays. Teams are now starting to kind of get back in the scrimmages. How serious of a result is this for Reciprocity? Is this worrying at all for you, Ryan?
I mean, this is a couple weeks in a row where they've lost now in obviously not in the finals, which I know they a lot of times like to be in the finals, and also, like I said, a couple matchups where they've seen success in the past. So again, it is fairly early on, a couple weeks in now to playing again, but you have to kind of look at this and say, okay, like there's a lot of teams that are getting back to work now, right? The competition is going to be tougher and tougher as these events go on. These teams are going to get back to work. They're going to have new, obviously, roster changes, right? Looking to make everyone stronger. So to them, obviously, they're going to have to, despite being the champions, continue to work that much harder and looking a bit stronger in this round so far, as you're going to see them continue to try to wipe the Rise Nation players off of that home hill. But yeah, if you're Reciprocity, I almost like to think sometimes, when you're the champion, sometimes you have to work kind of even harder than other people, right? Because everyone's gunning for you at that point.
That's a good point.
Everyone else is trying so much harder to get better, so you got to make sure that you're always a step ahead as the champ.
That's a solid point to bring up. Like I said, when it comes down to champions, you have to be aware of your overall play. But like we said, in terms of this game so far, Rise Nation still up 3 rounds to 2. However, that's a very solid round for Rec, if you will. But let's go and advance to our other game just for a moment, as it is going to be Hive and Ghost Gaming entering into the final round here on some good old District. Like we talked about, District, the one map that Ghost ended up taking off of the boys on Hive at San Diego in the Champs Bracket round 1. Can they do it again? And if not, that'd be Hive taking them down. Actually, on 3 different occasions. We obviously talked about San Diego, but also in week 2 of the Emergence Days Invitational. Actually, in round 1, it was Hive that actually took down this team 2-0. So in terms of their opportunities versus Ghost, they have been perfect, but like we said, it all comes down to this. The final round to decide it. Can Ghost force a Game 3 on Exhibit, or is this one done here?
You see the instant sort of rotation. Kind of noticed they were flashed out, instantly moved out of that area and jumped over towards middle. You're going to see players on both teams in the kill feed. Big fight coming in. TJ is down, but there's a revive. Is it going to be enough? Chaos is going to make one of them pay. Can he get the second? Advantage to Ghost Gaming, currently sitting at 5v2. Hive trying their best off spawn to just maintain themselves in this round. Obviously, Ghost is going to get control of that E-hill as you kind of look towards the respawns. TJ's on 0, Demise is on 0. You've got to be feeling good right now if you are a fan of Ghost Gaming. All they have to really do is just continue to kind of let this round play out, continue to fight, because that drop shot might do it. That's going to now put Tidy on 0. So again, if you're Ghost, you're fine with these kind of back and forth fights, right? Trades here and there, because eventually, right, Hive will run out of respawns.
Hefe trying to back up. Looks if he should be good to go. However, here comes the push. Monkeys, he is thirsty. And unfortunately, he'll actually get traded in the meantime. That's Tidy who comes through and saves the day. I thought it was surely over, and it is. Dezo, a drop shot from miles away, all the way from LATAM, as that's going to be Dezo doing all the work possible. He's got the Bull Talk out, and he's also got a few members from the other team. There goes Demise, and he's having a heyday over at the D-Hill. So many opposition members just in their face, and there goes Hefe along the way, as this will be a victory for the boys on Ghost Gaming. Like we talked about it is the rematch from San Diego, and so far the result is the same, and District yet again goes to the boys of LATAM.
I can't tell you how many times it feels like we see these situations where it goes to the final round and it's Ghost that comes out on top. That team is just so good. Used to be in round 13s, now it's in round 9. This Ghost Gaming team always showing up in those final moments when it matters. Obviously moving that series to a map 3, but heading back to the Rise Nation versus Reciprocity series. It looks like we are maybe on our way to a 2-0 as Rise Nation have now extended their lead to 4-2 on Bunker. Of course, a very dominant map number 1. Reciprocity, their life is on the line. One more round, and they are out of this tournament in the first round. Yeah. Let's see what they can do. Rise Nation now in control.
Yeah, definitely a scary result for the defending champions. Like we talked about, back-to-back top 4 placements. Can they actually get knocked down in top 8? That'll be the big story so far. We talked about initials. It's Icy and Rush to do some good work, but Enzim on the other side is also not slowing down either. The quick reactions, the flames at his side, and he is definitely beginning to heat up as Avexis comes through, takes down Kenny, takes down Franchise, and there goes Rushies. What a sequence coming in from Rise Nation as they will overall win the breakoff. That got a little bit scary, but Rise in the clutch moments are making magic happen as they will take control over E there, Ryan.
Big play from Avexis. Again, the man of the match when it came to map number 1, doing it big again in map number 2. Yet another initial coming in from Rise Nation. It feels like no matter what map they're on land, and they have some sort of early advantage in each one of these rounds. And it continues to be Reciprocity on their heels, kind of force a spawn back up and make it happen as you're seeing Icy trying to win a 2v1. Gets 1 kill, isn't able to get the second, but his teammate Power should be there for the rescue. He is. Numbers advantage currently favoring Reciprocity. We have a 4v3, but not for long. Here comes the drop shot from their new addition in Inzem, equalizing the kills on the board. Now Rise Nation now building that lead up, already up about 50 points. Had the drop shot early, doing everything right to close this map out.
New kid in the block. Instantly the new cool kid in school, Inzem. Such phenomenal work so far throughout this series, but can he put in another nail in the coffin? Icy, they're staring at each other, fires away the shot, not going to be able to make it land. Is that staring contest? Maybe it was Inzem who blinked first. Regardless, has to back up, just not comfortable with the positioning, and understandably so. Reciprocity retake the advantage over at E-Powers, however. Definitely a little bit beaten up as he tries to fade away. Nice shot coming through from Inzem, though, as Powers is down and taken out.
Looks like Avexis getting involved in the kill feed as well. That's going to be Icy dropping Kenny and Fran, the last 2 remaining members on Reciprocity. You see them moving together. There's going to be 1 down, but it's going to be Kenny dropped as well. Woo! Fran picks it up with a second, but he's just absolutely surrounded by members of Rise Nation. That's going to put them on the E hill and land. I just don't think there's anything they can do. You're going to see Rushies is out of the game in a very, very dominant performance, not only on this map, but this match as a whole. Rise Nation takes Reciprocity out in the first round, and honestly, they made it look kind of easy.
A lot of leadership and a lot of dominance coming through from that man of Avexis. Really just overall a phenomenal performance as they'll finish off with 30 eliminations in map 2, 39 in map number 1, and just